Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to give you some hints and tips for selling on eBay. All my examples will be of model railway stuff since that's the focus of this channel, but the same principles will apply generally to other things being sold on eBay. So maybe you've got some things that you are thinking of getting rid of, some things that you no longer need or want, and this is a great way to make some extra space and cash. But there are a few trips and things to be aware of before you get going. So the first thing is whether it's going to be worth selling your thing on eBay, whatever it might be. So for example, these older Hornby controllers that were selling for about £10 a pop, is it worth the time to photograph, describe, list, post, package, everything that's involved that to get £10? Or is there a better way to get rid of it, sell it or whatever, compared to, of course, something like a DCC fitted locomotive that's going to be easy to sell and get you a lot of value. So to check what things are usually selling for, it's best to look at completed listings on eBay rather than sold items or active items. So to do that, it depends whether you're on a computer browser or a phone. So in the browser on eBay, you put the search term in the search bar and then search for it, and then scroll down, and on the left hand side you put show only completed items, and then you'll get ones that are finished. Ones that have sold are green and ones that didn't sell are black, and you can see whether it was bids or a buy it now or whatever. And you can get quite a bit of information from this in terms of thinking about pricing that you might get, or the best way to sell it, how many of them are selling, how regularly, that kind of thing. And it's worth having a think as well about what sells well on eBay. So something that's light, well boxed, easy to post is really good for eBay, especially if it's got a lot of value in it. Something that's really big and bulky, you might want to think about alternatives such as Facebook Marketplace, or if you've got lots of light things that are cheap in value, the postage might outweigh the cost, so you might want to group them together in a bundle. So say instead of selling one wagon at once and you're going to lose half the cost of postage, you might do 5 wagons, say. Obviously you can do something similar with job lots of different types of things, but you do lose a bit of interest in that because not everybody will want everything in a job lot. So it's one way to get rid of stuff if you want to just get rid of it and make a few quid, but you're probably not going to make as much as if you split it up and sold it separately, especially if there's high value things going as part of a job lot. Another thing to think about before you start your listing is the type of sale that you're going to want to use. So eBay offers auctions, buy it nows, and auctions with offers, or buy it nows with offers. Auctions are good if it's going to be popular, so do your research on the completed listings, see how many bids each auctions are getting. Or if you want to get rid of it quickly, of course, an auction's good because you've got a definite end date. Buy it now is good if it's going to be less popular, but you've got a more definite idea of value in mind. And if you are going to do an auction, consider what you're going to set the starting price as. So what I tend to do is set the minimum value for what I'd be happy to get for the product. There is some sense in setting it as low as you can, so that it entices lots of people in to have a look at it in the beginning, and then they're more likely to watch it and come back, bid on it later on. If you set it too high, it tends to put people off, they don't bother clicking on it in the first place, and you might lose some interested people just because they're initially put off, even though they might be interested by being enticed in by an artificially low price in the beginning if it's an auction. So then, once you've decided what you're going to list, how you're going to list it, it's time to crack on. I will just say I find it easier to do this step on my phone with the eBay app rather than on the website. I found it easier to take the pictures, do the description, etc. using that, so that's what I usually use. And with that you can also do special things like scanning barcodes to get all the basics from a similar item, for instance, to save a bit of time. But you open the app, you say you're going to list an item, and you can do the pictures. So let's talk a bit about the pictures. So a few do's and don'ts on photos. Do make sure that the product is clean and dust free, etc. People go off what they see. If they see something that looks like it's been looked after, they're much more likely to, well, go for it basically. You can take a few pictures, but the first one, the front one, is going to be what shows up on the searches. So that's the one that really needs to grab attention. So if you can think about how to compose that first image that's going to grab people's attention, maybe you could show off a train on a bit of track or on the layout with a bit of interest, or with the box in the background, so you show it's fully boxed or something like that to make it look really stand out, grab attention. So if we have a look at a few examples, you can see in the top one there's a bit of glare, so that's something to be avoided. Have a nice clear picture. The second one is just the inside of a box, it's not really showing off the product. The third one, it's got a bit of a busy background, it's a bit zoomed out. And then the final one is quite nicely framed, it's quite nicely presented, and of course that's the one that went for the highest price. Not very surprising really. So I would say do generally have as plain a background as possible. Avoid clutter in the foreground, and really importantly get some good lighting that really shows off the model. If it shines, if it glistens, if it's supposed to, that really makes a big difference. And of course it's worth considering that you are allowed a video, which can be really useful if you're selling something like a loco, to show that it's in working condition and show how well it runs, etc. Because some people might not trust you if you just say, oh, it's a great runner. If they can see it's a great runner, watch it moving backwards and forwards, you can put up to a minute video on as well, and that can really help. I would say in the pictures, you get loads of pictures, show defects as well, but put your best pictures at the front. So be transparent, show the defects, but I would put those pictures at the end and have your best foot forward. In terms of the title for the listing, you get 80 characters for this. Use it. Think about what people will search for and try to hit as many key search items as you can, but get the most important things in there, like the part number or the key like brand name or the overall idea that you're trying to sell, and put the most important of those words or ideas first. So it might go something like brand train of type whatever class with such a name, excellent condition, or something like that. In terms of the description, there's kind of two parts to this. There's the tick box drop down menu kind of thing, which is all the different things that you can filter by when you're searching for an item, and then there's a free text box kind of type you up to 5,000 characters. It's worth paying attention to both. So in terms of getting the drop down options right, that's important so that people who are filtering or just browsing come across your item initially rather than searching for the specific thing. They might want a locomotive in a certain era or by a certain manufacturer that's analog or DCC or whatever. So they might be browsing for that and then find it, but you also need to hit the detailed description then when they go on it and read about it. So I would say describe the condition accurately, especially if you can highlight any minor flaws. That will give the buyer confidence that any major flaws aren't there because you've not mentioned them. And also it is important to be honest, and because the eBay system is kind of based on feedback and trust, so don't try to hide any defects because it will come back to bite you in future. And be as detailed as you can in that free flow text box. Spend time to write a bit. You do see nowadays that people can use AI to do auto gen 1. That is, in my opinion, very obvious, and it doesn't give you much confidence in the seller. It makes it seem like they're just quickly trying to get rid of it rather than really selling it, and what you can type can really make a difference to how enthusiastic somebody is about the product. So it's worth putting time into. And then finally, before the listing goes live, there's a few other things to just make sure you've got right. So make sure you decide about whether you're going to accept offers or not. I tend not to, because it's kind of a bit of hassle if I'm doing an auction to have to respond to offers, and they tend to be a bit cheeky, to be honest. People trying to get a bargain. Decide if you're going to set a reserve. It can be a reserve higher than the initial price of an auction. Again, I tend not to. I just tend to set the starting price for the minimum that I'd accept it for. But if you're starting at, say, 99p and you don't want to sell it for less than 20 quid, you can do that. I don't know if you might have to pay a slight fee to eBay for that. And check the duration. So it's, I think, by default 7 days duration for an auction. That I think works well. People tend to go on eBay and not want to wait too long to be able to win something once they've seen it. So I think the 10 days is a bit long, and 5 days you might miss a few people out. Finally, consider scheduling the start time for an auction so that the auction ends at a kind of peak time. So I think evening time is ideal, when people are going to be around their computers to go and bid, because on eBay people tend to bid towards the end of an auction to try and clinch the deal. So it's worth just making sure you've got all those final options correct before you set up the listing. After your listing goes live, then there's a few things you just need to do. First, you need to keep an eye on things while the listing is live. You might get queries or questions come through eBay. Just respond to them through eBay. It's quite straightforward if that happens. Just be aware that that might happen. Someone might want a clarification about something to do with the item. Second, once the payment is received, you can leave positive feedback for the buyer once they've paid, so that they'll then internally view positive feedback, and once that feedback builds up, future buyers have more confidence in you because they can see that you've got good feedback and that you're not just going to scam them out with their money or whatever. And finally, dispatch the item promptly and with the carrier and service that's specified on the listing. So for example, if they've requested every tracked, don't send it Royal Mail second class. You know, it's kind of obvious, but I have had this go wrong in the past, where somebody sent me something that wasn't quite on the correct service, and then it got lost in the post, and because it wasn't tracked, there was no way of kind of proving they'd sent it. All got a bit messy. Just do what you're supposed to do, basically. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed that video. Well, I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but I hope you found it useful anyway. A few insights into how I go about my eBay listings and selling things on eBay. So thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in more model railway content, hopefully that will be coming back to some sort of normality soon. Thanks for watching, and like I say, catch you next time.